Welcome to beautiful Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where we have a full afternoon of softball slated. Our doubleheader today, we're starting off with the University of Maryland Terrapins and the Bucknell University Bison. Going to be an interesting broadcast for you, interesting stream for you today. Leading off for Bucknell, number 22, Molly Lawson, designated player. Swings at the first pitch for a strike. Courtney Weish on the mound. Looks like she's bringing some fire. Second pitch, called strike. 0-2 count on Lawson. Weish takes the sign. Takes a deep breath. Swinging strike 3. Lawson goes down on strikes. Number 1, Haley Spiker. Spiker's out in left field today. Lefty steps in.
Oh, that's good, that's good. Lose it? Lose the phone?
Spiker offers at the pitch for a strike. Second pitch of the at-bat coming up here. Second pitch is in for a ball. We got 1-1 to Spiker. Steps back in. Spiker slaps that one right back to Weish, who throws her out over at first. So got 2 outs here in the top of the first. Yeah. Third batter here of the inning, Zoe Smith. Number 11, another lefty. Smith is our catcher. First pitch in for a ball. And 2 outs here in the top of the first. Smith's a senior. Second pitch is in for ball 2. Smith is out of Pickerington, Ohio. Weish throws that one for a strike. We got 2-1 here. Pitch is a little high. 3-1 to Smith. Smith fouls that one off for a full count. .42 Weish is coming out with some fire. Weish is a grad student. Payoff pitch here. Oh, swinging strike 3. Smith goes down on strikes. 1-2-3 inning for Bucknell. Welcome back to Williamsport. We're in the bottom of the first. In the first of our doubleheader here, University of Maryland versus Bucknell University. Leading off for Maryland, number 22, Jada McFarland. So as Jada steps up to bat, takes swings at the first pitch, we have a 0-1 count. I'm joined in the booth by Tori Vidales. Welcome.
Hi. Thank
Thanks
you so
for
much.
being here. Oh, McFarland flies that one. And who's playing? Tori, who's out there in right for Bucknell? who's out in right field? Savannah Jones. Savannah's out in right field, snags that one. So got one out for Maryland here in the bottom of the first. So Tori, you've been with us. Yesterday you were here for the Girls with Game Experience Coaches Clinic and helped with one of the sessions today in our Girls with Game Camp Experience. As number 44 steps in, another lefty for Maryland, Megan McCamey. What was that one? Takes that one for a ball.
A little bit high.
A little high. So you ran. Well, first of all, let's talk about who you are, because that's sort of a big deal, right? So you played a little bit of softball.
Yeah, just a little.
A little bit.
A few games here and there.
Here and there. You stepped in, took a couple of reps. So you are a professional softball player.
Yeah.
Now.
So I started my journey at Texas A&M. I played there from 15 to 18, two-time All-American at A&M, and then I continued on to the Pro League. At the time, it was Scrapyard was the first team that I played for, an independent team. Man, nice hit right through the
McCamey
5-6
puts
hole.
that one down for a little base hit.
Little lefty action. But yeah, just continued to play. Now I'm currently with Athletes Unlimited. I just finished my 4th season with them, my 6th pro season overall. So a lot of softball post-college. And I also played for the Mexican national team for 6 years, 2016 to 2021, and was a part of the team that went to the Tokyo Olympics in 2021.
So no big deal, right?
Just casual.
Just casual play here and there. So who do we have up? Sydney Lewis, the DP here for Maryland, steps up. Another lefty. I think some lefties leading off here. First 3 batters lefties.
Not a bad opportunity to have.
Nope. Got a runner on first. So big college career, big pro career. But what I want to talk about is your youth experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, there wasn't an actual Little League team near where I was, but my parents grew up playing. My dad played baseball at Texas Tech. My mom played all throughout high school. She played basketball in college, but, they ended up meeting, having kids, the whole shebang, right? But they stayed in the game. They played a little bit of slow pitch once. Ooh, we got some speed.
Yeah, she's there.
McCamey taking second.
No doubt. Nice little slide.
Setting it up for the power hitter, 3-hole hitter.
I like it.
Lewis is trying to knock her in. But yeah, my parents played slow pitch. Actually, my mom played until she was 7 months pregnant with my brother. So we always joke, we're like, yeah, it's in the blood. Softball's in the blood. But my brother continued on to play. He played at U of H, University of Houston, and then got drafted by the Athletics in 2016. Played minors for a couple years. He's no longer playing, but it's definitely in our blood. And so for me, like growing up, I had an older brother, so it was a lot easier for me to learn the game, practice with someone. No one talks about how important it is to have a sibling to practice with.
What's your birth order? Where are you?
Well, it's my brother Josh.
Okay.
He's just turned 30.
Okay.
And I'm 27. So we're like two and
So
a half years
the
apart.
older brother. That makes like the younger
Older
sibling
brother.
always benefits, I feel like.
Always. And it was great. We grew up and our parents let us try every sport that we could.
Oh,
We
I
did.
love that.
I very specifically remember running track, playing soccer, playing basketball. Like I could tell you stories about some of these games. So I remember playing everything, but there was just something about softball, whether it was the team aspect or it was the personal aspect, I felt like I could always grow and I never knew everything. But it was like my body just knew how to play the game, like from a young age. And that really is rare. But, you have the one kids that just athletic, everything kind of falls into place. It just clicks in their brain. And I felt like I was one of those as a child, which lucky me, right? I just happened to pick the right thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, my youth experience was great. I did start in baseball, but then moved over to softball pretty soon after that and have just been playing ever since.
Okay. So that's interesting. I didn't know that about you, that you started in baseball. So I want to get your
Only
thoughts.
T-ball, so I don't really count it.
So
I was picking flowers in the outfield.
That's the best part of T-ball. So I think, Lewis cranks that one. Got a little tag up.
That was a great job by McCamey at second. That was a backspin line drive. So Lewis gets a hold of that ball. It doesn't look like it's going to go too far, but as it gets further away from the plate, the more it rises. Center fielder for Bucknell did a great job at reading that, but Makami, man, getting that tag at second, that's good heads-up base running.
She's got some wheels, too. That helps.
That helps a lot because, I can get a good jump, but I may not make it safe.
Oh, all right. Who do we have coming up here? Diamond Williams. This is a cleanup hitter here for Maryland. Steps in. Oh, ball gets away. Makami in to score. Stand up. So Bucknell gets on the board first here in the bottom of the first, scratching that runner across. Again, all set up by some great read by Makami at second.
Absolutely. If she wouldn't have taken that tag right there, she wouldn't have scored. So it's all about the little details. What can you do to get you 60 feet further than you started?
I feel like that's so important for young girls to understand is doing those little things right, understanding just the small nuances of the game and really developing their softball intelligence.
Right.
I think is so smart. I've heard college coaches say we've started to get away from that a little bit in the youth space.
I would agree.
And so I think one thing that also helps contribute to that is the ability for young girls to see college softball and professional softball now on television and have the ability to come to those games and see what higher level athletes are doing and then be able to take that back and apply it to their own game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really all about access and experience, watching the game over and over. Things get monotonous, but with softball, it's so easy that you can find different pieces of the game to watch differently every time. So, one game you could be watching only the first baseman, or maybe you want to watch the catcher, or maybe the center fielder. So, especially if you're in the stadium, it's so much easier to kind of get a full layout of the entire field at any given moment. So, you can start to watch those people. How are they approaching the game? But not only like how are they performing, how are they taking it when they strike out? When they strike out 3 times in a row, what is their body language telling me? How are they holding themselves on the field? And I think that's where we lose a little bit of that, like, oh, well, how do I hit a home run? How do I do this? But we never really talk about, hey, what do I do when I strike out 3 times and I feel like I'm lost? Like, I don't know what to do. Actually, one of the girls this morning had asked, she was like, have any of you had the experience where, you don't like it and you want to give up? And I'm like, I think we've all had that experience, but it's all about that mental fortitude and building that. The more you go through an opportunity like that, the easier it is to overcome it.
Oh, Williams drops that one in.
Double.
Stand-up double there for Williams. That was a nice little poke in the hole.
Yeah, it is. And not to mention, these fields are 225 corner and center, so it plays big gaps. So when you have a field that's shorter on the corners, you're not going to have as much alleyway room in the gaps, so left center, right center. But now that it's all even, it's almost closer to a straight line. So now the outfielders have a lot more room to run. And again, neither team has home field advantage, so they don't really know how the field plays just yet. So it's a learning bit for them, too. As they go, they have to kind of learn on the fly.
Isn't that the great part of the game, though?
It is.
Is just the strategy and understanding that you approach every game a little bit differently because there are those little nuances that you may have to address as a player and as a team.
Yeah, who can make the adjustment faster? That's usually the team that's going to win.
No doubt. Maisie McFarland steps up, number 00. She is right fielder for this game. Got a runner on second. Takes that first pitch for a called strike. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. I'm moving the game along. Bottom of the first. Got 2 on my mind.
It's really exciting when there's some hits going.
Do love to see that offense.
Especially in the bottom of the first inning. First opportunity, jumping on it.
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of a lot of offense, let's talk a little bit about the AU Pro Games at the Little League Softball World Series last year.
Yeah, it was... such an incredible experience, not only from the pro side, there were so many great things said from my teammates and the girls that I play with, but, coming here and hearing from you guys how much it meant to you all working the Little League World Series and the girls being there and just the interactions. It was only a day, so we were only there for 1 game in Greenville, North Carolina, but hopefully we're coming back.
Yeah, so
fingers crossed.
So maybe for anybody watching that didn't know about the game, so for the first time this past year at the Little League Softball World Series in Greenville, we brought Athletes Unlimited on the road to play a game in Greenville. And it's something that we really felt strongly about because for years at the Little League Baseball World Series, we've played the Major League Baseball Classic, and the baseball players had an opportunity to watch a professional game. And we felt it was really, really important to give the softball players that same opportunity. And due to the great relationship that we've had with Athletes Unlimited for the last couple of years, we were able to make that happen. And so we were so thankful for the willingness of the staff at Athletes Unlimited and, of course, the players to say, you know what, yes, this is important. We are going to uproot everything that we do for our regular season. We're going to take a road trip, and we're going to play these games in front of these girls.
Yeah, and a reminder is just that AU is only played in Rosemont, Chicago, and Chicago area, right next to the airport. So if you're ever in Chicago, come out and watch a game in the summer. But
No doubt. So McFarland lines that up the middle for a single, moving Williams over to third.
Oh, sit.
Oh, oh, no. What we have? Obstruction? Maybe obstruction? I don't know
I
what
think
the official call
hesitation.
is. Oh, it could be hesitation, yep. We are back on it's top of the second. May have heard some confusion at the end of the first there. We still aren't exactly sure what caused that third out, but anyway, it's a third out. And
Yep.
now we
got three. We're switching. That's all that matters.
We're in a new inning. We're in a new inning. Bucknell back up to the plate. Brooke Papella steps up. Weish had 2 Ks in the top of the first, so big first inning for her. Stepping back in, Papella is the shortstop. So we were talking a little bit about the pro games before we broke there in that exciting end of the first, uncertainty what really happened. So I know in talking with our Little League World Series participants, it was just such an incredible experience for them to be able to chat with the pro athletes, to ask questions, and it was just so genuine and organic. Sometimes when you have younger players and professional athletes, it can be a little bit forced, but I felt, as I saw a lot of the interaction as I was there, it was just, it was an incredible bonding opportunity for both the Little League players to say, I could be that, and for the AU players to be like, I remember being that.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I got to see was Erica Piancastelli, who played for Team Italy, and Italy team was in the Little League World Series. And, I mean, think about it in terms of, softball is very big in the States. Over there, it's big, but it's nowhere near this level, and it doesn't have as much representation as we have here in the States. So to see those little girls looking at Erica like she walked on water, it was incredible. They were just so amazed. So Erica ended up surprising them with a FaceTime call.
I love that.
And they got it on film, and it was amazing. The girls were all emotional, and you could, they're speaking in Italian because Erica's just going, and it was so cool to see them just appreciate the moment. I feel like a lot of times it can turn really crazy really fast, but they loved it. It was amazing, and Erica Piancastelli was just over the moon that she was able to be here and give them some support and in their own language. That's an important factor when you think about these young girls coming to play a sport. Imagine us trying to go somewhere like Japan and not know anybody or not do anything. So, their world is being expanded a little bit, and Erica's kind of being able to tie them to home a little bit. So that was
amazing.
That was an amazing experience for them and for Erica and for me watching.
Yes, no doubt. So Papella flew out to left for the first out here of the inning, and Mackenzie Hilling steps in. First at bat for Hilling. Hilling is what do we got? First baseman. Oh, did I? Oh, never mind. Hilling is going to come up after Jones. It's actually Jones is up to bat now. She's a righty. I couldn't see her number. From where we sit in the booth, it's down the first base side, so I'm not fully paying attention because I'm really enjoying the conversation about the AU pro games. But Jones steps in, right fielder. One out here in the top of the first. So we had some incredible experiences at the AU pro games. We are hoping to be able to do it even bigger and better in 2024. Jones flies out to center here, so 2 outs here in the top of the second. Now Hilling steps up to the plate. Got a little ahead of myself.
You just got excited.
Yeah.
Maybe she's going to get a big hit,
Could be.
You felt it.
So these fall exhibition games for these teams, really kind of a great way to see where they're at with first coming together. And so we started these games last year. For the first time, we played softball on Lamade Stadium. We had one game, Maryland and Penn State. And now here in the second game of the Little League Girls with Game experience, we expanded and we have 4 teams here. So Next game up will be Army and Penn State. So we're looking forward to that second game as well.
Yeah, what an experience, too, for the college players. I mean, myself just walking on the field, I'm like, wow, this is incredible. Like, the surface is great. It's well taken care of. The grass is soft. Even, like, looking out. I mean, you've seen this on TV a million times, so to be here and, be in it, it's so cool. And it's like a little tie-back moment for me. I was talking about watching the boys' Little League World Series. My brother played, so... back when Pearland was in the Little League World Series,
connection.
We were all about Team Texas, so that was that was our thing. So now seeing it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing for the college players to be able to do this in the fall.
Yeah,
what an experience for them.
It is something that I always say. So, when I think sometimes when you work here, when we see this every day, it just kind of just is what it is. And so we lose sight of how impressive the facility actually is. So whenever new people come and walk on the field and you see kind of the awe in their eyes of what a cool venue it is to play in, that's always excited to see. And it definitely rejuvenates my thoughts as well. But I always say that this is coming to the Little League Baseball World Series is an absolute bucket list for everyone. So I'm sure for these women to step onto the field and have an opportunity to play something they've watched on TV and seen the Little League World Series is a great opportunity. Hilling takes ball 4 and heads down to first. Ava Aguilar steps up to the plate. So we talked about the AU Pro Games. Hopefully we're going to do it again next year. In talking with some of your teammates, what were some of the major, just great moments they had at the Pro Games and what they want to expand on going forward?
Our programs in Greenville.
Yep.
Well, I think just the first thing was getting out of Chicago. That experience, it almost felt like we were back in college, going to the airport and, we're all wearing AU stuff and, we're on a charter bus. So we're like doing all of these things that remind us of college. And for, 60 girls that all played collegiate ball, like it's cool to see them to get out and like almost feel like we were a little bit back to our roots.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the third out. We're going to head to a break. Welcome back to Lamade Stadium here on a beautiful Saturday. A little bit chilly, a little bit windy, but it's not raining, so we'll take it. We are coming back here in the bottom of the second in our first of our college softball doubleheader between Maryland and Bucknell. Sammy Woods leading off for Maryland. And I'm here with, I don't think I ever introduced myself.
Sometimes we forget that part.
I know, we do, and probably no one really cares, so.
I care.
Streaming these games in our Girls with Game Classic, Nina Johnson-Pitt. I am the Senior Strategy Executive here at Little League, but more importantly, I am a softball coach and softball mom.
Yes.
Joined by Tori Vidalis, who, Athletes Unlimited.
Great bunt.
Did you see that bunt?
Wow.
Woods lays down an outstanding bunt, just rolls down the first base line for a base hit.
Man, those are the sneaky ones. You're like, ooh, I should let it roll foul. And you're like, come on, roll foul. I let you go on purpose.
They were trying. And it's so important, too, because it gets to a point where you're like you just wait. Wait and see if it's going to go foul. She's going to get to first, so just give it that extra second. Don't pick it up just in case it still has the ability to get a little more spin and roll foul.
Yeah, and we were talking about IQ. Like, those are those little things about the game that, you learn as you get to college, but we're trying to teach them before they get there so that they have those fundamentals and high softball IQ coming in. So that way it trickles down into the lower game, and hopefully we get like more experienced players coming into college instead of feeling like, we have to get our bearings and get our feet underneath us our freshman year. Sometimes a lot of people feel like it's so new.
Yeah.
When you come in and you already know that stuff, the game is the game. It's just a little bit faster.
Sometimes I think in the youth space, we almost overcoach players.
Yes.
Almost coach we don't necessarily give them the ability to figure things out on their own. We try to coach every aspect of what they're doing, and then that inhibits them from developing that softball IQ.
A lot of times, like when you're a kid, your body's just moving because your body does know how to move. You have to trust it.
Yeah.
I always say when I'm hitting or when I'm coaching hitting, a lot of these girls, ooh, nice,
Nobody
solid.
was at second. Oh. We'll let this play out, and then we'll talk about it. We got a lot happening. So great snag by the third baseman on that shot down the line.
Noelle Garden.
First look to second. Nobody was covering second. So she had time to throw over to first, but probably didn't get a great throw over to first. Bounced, and the first baseman over there couldn't handle it. So overthrew.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great snag. She goes to make the initial instinctive play, which is to second, turn a double play. Obviously, your teammate's not in position, so I think she let herself get a little bit of frazzled in that moment. Instead of resetting her feet and going to first, she kind of like lazily shuffled her feet, which made her throw across her body and down. And then the right fielder, Savannah Jones, just has got to be a little bit closer. Again, the big outfield, they're playing so much further than they normally would. So maybe come in a little bit more or anticipate a little better that every throw is going to go past so that you're in a good position when it actually does.
Yeah, make that adjustment. Good point. She had enough time to really get her feet set back under her, but again, not having coverage at second and then having to pivot probably made her rush that a little bit and not get her feet set. So Maryland scores on that one. Runner on third. And Delaney Reef steps up. Reef, the catcher, lays down a bunt. Sack bunt. Runner scores.
Yeah, Maryland going hard early. Sack bunt, up 2 runs. They're trying to secure this win.
I love it when the catcher's laying down a bunt.
That's true. Anything to get the job done. I thought she was going to catch it. I froze for a second.
I thought maybe she was going to lay out and get that one. You're right. They all kind of just stopped and let it kind of landed in the Bermuda Triangle between them, and nobody picked it up. Oh, a little check swing here by Bailey Murphy. Thrown out over at first for the second out.
Yeah, you can see the game just looks a little fast right now for Bucknell. If they just take a breath, take a breather, come into the pitcher's mound, be like, hey, we're good. Let's reset. Let's do what we do. And boom, it becomes easier.
Yeah.
Instead, you try to rush and get out of the inning. It becomes overwhelming.
2 outs here, and we're back to the top of the order for Maryland. Jada McFarland, lefty, steps back up to the plate.
Ooh, good pitch.
That was a nice pitch for a first pitch strike. And talk about, Hunter Vestal on the mound for Bucknell. Hunter is a senior right-handed pitcher. Gets McFarland to swing at that one.
Yeah, that drop ball is dirty.
Yeah, it is.
You can see she's got a big frame as well. She's a very tall pitcher, so she's able to really get on top of that ball, similar to a Kat Osterman, how she uses that height, right, to come on top of the ball and really is able to get it to drop because she is so tall. And you pair it with that changeup, that's a deadly combo.
It is. What do you think about the number of a youth pitcher, number of pitches? Oh, got that one on her foot. So McFarland takes that off the foot. Ooh, that's a tough one. It's tough to do a hit by pitch on an 0-2 count, huh?
Yeah. It's not a pitch you want to miss.
Nope.
You might get a small visit. Nope, never mind. Coach thought about it. But pitch count, I never really was aware of a pitch count. We really didn't keep track of that, but I definitely think there's a point where as adults, we take that responsibility on, and there's no reason to be pitching one pitcher for 7-8 games in a weekend. That's just really unnecessary at the end of the day, because it's all about your health and how your body's going to hold up. And yes, it may not be that big of a deal now, but it will be later.
McFarland takes second on some wheels. Throw got away into the outfield, but center fielder was there. So in Little League, in baseball, we have a pitch count. Softball, we do not. We still go by innings. But to your point, I think it continues to be important for parents and coaches to understand arm health, proper warm-ups, cool downs, and just ensuring, especially in, outside of the Little League program when you may be playing more games in a day, because oftentimes the pitchers that pitch in Little League are also pitchers on their travel teams that we're really monitoring and making sure to keep that arm health a priority.
Yeah, and two, I think about now I'm looking at it as an older person who has played softball for so long, I'd be more focused on how are these pitches looking rather than is she getting people out, right? If she's got good spin, nothing's achy, nothing's in pain. But I feel like we should be more concerned with the mentality while we're out there more than the pitching, right? Because you could be out there for 7 games and you're just going. You're not thinking about anything because you don't really care. Or you could be out there focused 1 game, not even a whole game, like 4 innings, and every pitch you're locked in thinking, okay, it's an 0-2 count. Where do I need to put this curveball?
Yeah.
And learning about the game that way instead of over pitching them and just making them pitch, making them focus more on pitch location. Okay, if I just threw a rise ball at the hands, what would look slow, right? You would go out and away slow and get them to reach. So it's learning about the game in terms of, okay, what does a sequence look like? What's going to get me out? What's going to get the hitter out? What's going to make me better as a pitcher? So I think the more we focus on the why behind it is going to propel us into a better direction rather than focusing on how much.
That's a great point. So Makami takes first on 4 straight balls, which prompts a visit here by the Bucknell coach. So what does a pitcher need to hear at this point?
Right now, just to settle in. I mean, the game's, it's not gotten away from them. It's only 3-0. There's a lot of game left. I think here you just have to focus on throwing your pitch, right? You know a drop ball is going to work. Throw it until they beat you. And if not, or if they do beat you, pull out that changeup. I think a lot of times pitchers just get in their own heads about feeling like they have to be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not the game. Softball, you'll never be perfect, unless it's a perfect game, right? Very rare that you're perfect, right? But not everyone's going to get a hit in every single at-bat, right? So it's not about being perfect. It's about letting your defense work behind you and having that mutual trust of, like, my defense knows that I'm going to go and attack the hitters, and I know that whenever I miss a pitch or whenever a hitter gets a hold of one, that my defense is going to come through and make that play.
Awesome. All right, so hopefully she settled in here. We have runners on first and second here for Maryland, 2 outs. Got her swinging on that one. It's probably good coming out of that little visit to come up with a strike, huh?
Yeah, and if I'm a hitter and they call a timeout and the pitcher seems frazzled, anything she puts over the plate, I'm going to be swinging.
Yeah.
I'm going to be ready as a hitter. So it's a good idea to go up swinging at that first one, but it's got to be one you can get a hold of.
Yeah, no doubt. Back with the ball. A little inside, look like. So you had some time with our Little League athletes.
I did.
And I think it's a little chopper down the first base line for the 3rd out. So we're going to say goodbye to Tori. You're going to come back later. We're going to bring in the Army coach up next.
Oh, nice. Okay. I guess I'll go.
But you're going to come back and join us and give us some more insight because you've been outstanding. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Yes, enjoy the stream.
Welcome back to Williamsport. We are in the top of the 3rd in the first of our Girls with Game Experience doubleheader, Bucknell and Maryland. 4-0, Maryland on top. We were joined earlier by Tori Vidalis, AU pro athlete, and now in the booth, Army coach Jen Consul. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So it's your first time at the Girls with Game Experience.
Yes. Actually, first time at this complex in my life.
Well, what did you think?
It was awesome. Amazing. We got here last night and the field was all lit up, and it was a cool experience for our girls.
And so you're getting the full Little League experience because y'all stayed in the Grove last night, the dorms where the baseball players stay. So how was that?
It was actually awesome. Our girls looked at it as a big old slumber party for themselves and were giddy little, like, 10-year-olds again. So it was awesome.
That's great. Yeah, we love that, to have the opportunity to use the facility at times other than the Little League Baseball World Series. But the fact that you took the opportunity to take the full experience, hang out in International Grove. So that was last night. Got some good rest. How did you spend the morning?
We had some breakfast, and then we came out and worked with the young athletes at the camp we had this morning. This is kind of one of the only opportunities that our players specifically get to work with the youth, because at the military academy, due to their military duties, they're not able to work our clinics. So they love doing it. They love being out there. And this is probably the only chance that they're going to get to be able to do that.
Oh, I love that. So we were talking a lot about, so Tori Vidalis was in earlier, and she was talking about just the opportunity at the pro games for not only the Little League players to see college and pro athletes, but also for the pro athletes and the college players to remember what it was like to be a kid and why they fell in love with the game.
Exactly, yes.
So I know I saw some of your players interacting on some of the sessions, and you're right, they just seemed really excited to be there and to connect and to share some experience and answer questions. So we love having the opportunity to connect players at different levels of the game with Little League players. And we know that in Little League, not all of them are going to go on to play college or professional or maybe even high school.
They weren't afraid to tell us that either. They wanted to be artists and software engineers and all that, which is great too, but they got the chance to actually talk with our girls about that, so I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I think one of the takeaways I've had from talking with some professional athletes and even some college athletes is that they always want kids to remember and parents to remember that first and foremost, the kid is a kid, right? And so to remember that softball and any mistakes they have and any successes don't define them.
Correct.
So I think that's an important reminder for, especially as kids are learning about failure and defeat and winning graciously, that we separate successes and failures from just who they are as a person. So I love that they were quick to share with you.
Oh, yeah. Very outspoken this morning at their goal setting sessions and everything, but it's awesome to see them even at that age thinking about it. You know, they raise their hand. Who wants to go to Penn State? They all raise their hand because they're from this area. Yeah. Who wants to go to West Point? We got a couple.
Good.
We got a couple takers. And I think it's just awesome for them to, you know, be able to ask our girls different questions. You know, what is it like? What again, like you said, it's not about like how many games did you win or like what's your stat line, but it was, you know, how do you like it? Like what's the most fun part about being on a team? And it honestly always comes down to the people. So I think, like you said, it brought them back to their roots today of like, hey, we were once in their shoes. Yeah. This is fun. This is a game, and kind of bringing the love for the game back.
I love also when I was in there and they were asking questions, they were like, what's your favorite cheer to do?
Yeah.
Like,
at the end there, I don't know if you saw, there was a cheer off. I think our girls were a little more excited than the younger athletes were, but it was a cool experience overall.
Well, those are the things. So in Little League, we talk a lot about the experience, right? Because we don't know how long these girls and boys will be playing baseball and softball, but as long as they're playing, we want it to be a great experience. And so the things that they remember generally aren't the wins and the losses and the game-winning hit. It's the cheers and where they went for ice cream, hopefully to Dairy Queen after the game. And so those are the memories that people always have. And so we're really cognizant about making sure that that's what the highlight is. Like the plays are great, that's all fine, but that's not what they're going to remember.
Right. No, I definitely agree. And you saw that today when our girls put in some stunts in their cheer that they were doing, and they all went, their faces just dropped. Yeah. It was so funny.
Yeah, and it's so interesting as in Little League we talk about kind of the differences in baseball and softball, and I do think we see oftentimes softball as a much more social game, and the cheers are a part of it, and that bonding and that sisterhood that we often see.
Yeah, I definitely see that. And like I said, I saw with our team last night, you know, getting out, they live in the barracks. They don't live together like most colleges do. Our girls don't live together, so they're living with other people. So for them to get the chance to come out here and 12 people to a room, they were just like blasting music, laughing and giggling all night. And we were like, okay, at some point we do have to say, hey, time to go to bed now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, that's good to hear, because I think during the Baseball World Series, when those coaches are on like their 13th and 14th night, they're probably not feeling the same way about the dorms. But it's nice to have some energy back over there.
Different change of scenery too for us. You know, getting out of West Point. Our plebes aren't actually allowed to leave post their first semester, so like this is a awesome opportunity to get them off, get them doing something new. And I think it was great that we were invited here this year and to be a part of this experience, something different for our girls and for the young athletes who were here this morning. Well,
and it's a beautiful time of year here in Williamsport. You have the great backdrop of the leaves starting to change and the mountains. So it's nice it's a little bit different than what most people may see during the Baseball World Series, where everything's just green.
Right.
And the green on the hill has grown back in nicely at the end of baseball. It's usually pretty torn up, and it was really torn up this year. So it's all grown back in really nicely. So you're the second game of the doubleheader.
Yes.
And squaring off against Penn State. How do you feel?
I feel good. Like this is the end of our fall ball season, so this will be the last game we play until February, and kind of just getting it all out there, seeing what we got that we haven't seen this fall, and go out and compete.
I love it. All right. Well, thanks for spending some time with us and talking a little bit about the experience, and we wish you luck in the next game.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, Jen. Welcome back to Williamsport. We are in the bottom of the third for the first of our doubleheader here at the Girls with Game Experience. Maryland Terrapins and the Bucknell Bison. Last inning, we were joined by Jen Consul, Army West Point coach, and now in the booth is my good friend and director of softball development here at Little League, Ashley Miller. Ashley, welcome.
Oh, hi, Nina. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Playing 2 doubleheaders today. What could be better?
I mean, there's really no better place to be on a fall Saturday than running some softball camps for Little Leaguers and then watching 2 college softball exhibition games.
You know, I'll say I don't think that I've stopped smiling all day. So I'm sure all the kids, the college kids and the campers all kind of feel the same. So it's been a beautiful day here at Lamade Stadium.
I want to get back to you, but first I should probably talk a little bit about what's going on in the game. So we have a new pitcher on the mound for Bucknell. Number 5, Sarah Zimmerman, steps into the circle. And we are 3-0 here in the bottom of the third, Maryland on top. So I want to spend some time chatting with you about this Girls with Game experience, which started last year. Tell us a little bit about how the whole kind of concept came together.
It really came together. Our CEO, Steve Keener, had a really good friend, MBI camps, Keith Culta. He decided they want to have a conversation about how we can bring the 2 partners, MBI and Little League, together to create something really special for campers and something special for college athletes. Didn't quite know what that looked like at the time. You know, it took a couple months, but we came up with this idea of, well, let's have a clinic in the morning. Let's have the college kids there to be their clinicians. Let's help them out throughout the day. They'll be their encouragers. They'll be there to help them play catch with them. And then later that afternoon, let's play a softball game, a college softball game.
So wait, a college softball game on Lamade Stadium, which is traditionally a baseball field. So how do we pull that off?
So this year, we actually have a skinned infield. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Last year, we did not have a skinned infield. We had, they played on grass, and it was a great experience for them last year. This year, I think they were happily surprised that it was a softball field. We did have some returners from Penn State and Maryland. They walked on the field. They're like, wait, this is dirt this year? So they were super excited about that. They're like, we don't even need to practice. We do this all the time. So last year they took some extra practice on the dirt or on the grass, and this year they felt a little more comfortable.
That's awesome. So back to the game for a second. So Diamond Williams down on strikes. So 1 out here in the bottom of the third. And Maisie McFarland up to bat. So last year they played on grass, and this year on dirt, so great surprise. It is really interesting to see this field as a softball field.
Mm-hmm. It is. I think when we first saw it as staff members, we're like, is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is really neat to see. We just all feel so comfortable. You know, this is our home for the Little League Baseball World Series. So now we see a softball field, we're like, this feels like home too. Mm-hmm. Like, it feels really nice. So great surprise for the college athletes, and I think some of the girls that came for the clinic too were happily surprised.
So let's talk a little bit about the clinic. So different from last year. This year you had a coaches clinic last night. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we had about 30, actually all of them were Little League coaches, came in and learned from all the college coaches that helped out today. So we had D1 representation, D2 representation, and D3. So we had all 3 levels of college that were there, and really just broke down hitting, infield, outfield, fundamentals, but really got to spend good quality time with the Little League coaches. They got to ask questions and really just to see, different drills that they may not normally be running. We know some of our coaches are volunteers, and we have different experience levels, so it was really great for them to hear maybe new words and new drills that they've never done before and take them back to their local league. And everyone left, they're like, we have a lot of work to do, and we're excited about it. So it was absolutely reassuring on our part, and we hope to continue doing that.
So McFarland swings at strike 3, so 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Sammy Woods up to bat.
Good snag.
Line shot back to the pitcher there. That was just a great reaction time by the pitcher. You were a pitcher.
I was. The Maryland pitcher, she's tall. She's very tall.
She's tall.
She's great.
All right, we're going to take a little break here before we come back in the top of the fourth. I'll be back again in the top of the fourth with Ashley Miller, Director of Softball Development. Welcome back, top of the fourth from beautiful Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where we are playing softball in Lamade Stadium.
I don't know what's beautiful. What's more beautiful, the field, skin infield right now, or the trees in the background?
They are beautiful. So we have a pitching change here for Maryland. So Weish finished with 5 Ks in 3 innings, and stepping into the circle is Kira Butcher. Kira has some great hair.
She does. She also is a little bit different of a pitcher than our first pitcher that we saw from Maryland. She's more off speed, but more spinning.
Okay.
More spinning pitcher.
So as we were ending, bunted foul. Haley Spiker bunts that one foul down the third baseline. So we were talking about you being a pitcher. So tell me about your youth softball experience.
It was one I'll never forget, and I think, being a pitcher has really created a leader in me. I think it helped be able to lead my teammates, now transitioning into real life, being able to lead other elements of life. So being a pitcher, really, when you start out that young doing it, it's something you just continue doing, and you get pretty good at it once you start at a young age. But it was a great experience for me, being able to, my dad always was my catcher, and our favorite spot was when he was on the bucket and I was on the mound.
Yeah.
And we did that for years. So that's a memory with my dad I'll never forget, and it's really special.
So Sammy Wood's smooth there at shortstop. That was a great play. Good hard hit ball at the middle.
Quick.
She scooped that and got it over there. I love seeing a smooth middle infielder.
And I love that these girls are so confident. They walked right on this field, and it's like they're playing at home.
I want to talk a little bit next about some of the work you're doing in the Little League softball program. So earlier this year, we played, for the first time ever, professional softball game at the Little League Softball World Series. And Tori Vidalis was in here earlier telling us about her experience from an athlete perspective. But maybe talk a little bit about the relationship that Little League now has with Athletes Unlimited and what you hope to see that grow into.
Yeah. When you have two organizations that come together that have the same mission, they want to grow the game of softball, they want to promote the game of softball, and they really want as many little girls and females to have the opportunity to play this beautiful game as possible. Anything is possible when you get those two groups together. So when we started the conversations, it was a no-brainer for us. We were like, it makes sense. This is going to be incredible. All of us were like, we'll figure out the rest later, but let's decide we're going to do it, and let's do it well. So, it's blossomed into a really beautiful partnership, and I think we touched just the surface of it. We scratched the surface here, and we knocked it out of the park for year one with the pro games, and I think from here on out, we continue to work together to grow at the grassroots level. That's really important to us and really important to Athletes Unlimited as well, is getting the game back at the grassroots level. All the Little League programs, how can we make sure that they're getting the most access available to them to play this game? And how can we promote the AU athletes to make sure that happens?
What are your priorities for the Little League softball program?
It's really three buckets. Access is really big for us. We want to make sure that if you want to play in a Little League softball program, that you have that available to you. There's no barriers to entry. The second one is experience. If you're participating in our program, you're going to have the best experience possible. We want to make sure.
I'm going to have to get to the third one next because that was a quick inning.
That was quick. I'll have time to think about
the third out. Back here in Williamsport, we are in the bottom of the fourth. This game is flying.
It absolutely is.
Zimmerman in the circle for Bucknell freshman. She's got 2 Ks in her first inning. Michaela Jones up to bat for Maryland. So before we broke for that very quick top of the fourth, you were telling me about your priorities for the Little League softball program.
First two, access and experience. So when we think about the third, if we're doing the first two right, the third one's easy. It's retention. How can we get people in our program and get them to stay in our program? So we're really doing a lot of work, again, at the local level, trying to figure out what's working, what are some best practices that maybe some other softball programs that haven't started yet, struggling to get started, that they can learn from, they can grasp from, And I think with those three, we could really start to dive into each programs and continue to grow across the country and, across the world.
Nice. So Zimmerman's throwing some gas here.
Yeah, she is.
The freshman.
Too bad we don't have a radar gun out
I
there.
know.
That'd be
I'd like to
great.
see how hard she's throwing. So access, experience, retention, priorities for the program. We really feel like if we can do those things well, we'll see some movement. And we had some growth in Little League softball
We did.
since, and not just, with the COVID years, because those are tough to look at, but since 2019, which is really where we're, I got it. That was
Foul ball.
almost us up here in the booth.
We're ready.
So we saw some pretty good growth, particularly at the youngest levels of the program. So what do you think we can attribute that to?
I think it's really all about access and retention. If we can get them in at the T-ball, at the minor division level, that's when they'll stick around. So we continue to focus pretty heavily on our coaching education and our league admin education. So if we continue to do that, we promote our softball program. We know it's important we get them in early. I think we keep doing those things, and we'll see a lot more of those younger divisions start to grow.
No doubt. So Jones flies out to center field there for the first out of the bottom of the fourth. Agree. If kids have a good experience, they have fun, it's a no-brainer that they should want to come back.
Absolutely.
And so as we continue to focus on that, starting with education of our coaches. So are there some things you are doing in the softball program to help provide resources for coaches?
Yeah. So actually, Diamond Leader program is probably one of the things across not only softball, but in our baseball programs as well that we're doing. It's free educational resource. It really focuses on the non-skilled portion of the game, right? So the social, the emotional, the mental side. We saw 60,000 of those coaches come through this year to take that training, which was absolutely incredible. We're working on ways to try to find what are they interested, what are our coaches interested in learning? Is it more skill-based? Is it a good mix of skill-based and social, emotional learning? So we could tailor some of our education to that. And I think that's what we're going to continue to really dive in and develop and create once we get through, the past, or I guess the next, 3 months of the year. I can't believe this year's almost over. But really just trying to gauge where we are educational-wise for our coaches and what they want more of. That way we can just tailor it and make sure everyone gets what they're looking for.
And the coaches are telling us that's what they want. We know through the data that we've worked with some of our partners to collect, that coaches want that information.
Yes.
They feel like players are looking for that support, and that's something that coaches have not historically been able to find. And so we felt it was important as Little League to offer them some of those resources to help provide that better experience for their players.
Yeah. The best thing we can think about is, how do we coach the female athlete? We know it's different. We know that it's an important skill to have, but if our volunteers haven't done it before, it could be new to them. So how can we help their lives just a little bit easier and giving them some guidance to do that?
So coaching the female athlete is important. Do you also think representation is important?
It absolutely is. Absolutely. We talk about inclusivity.
Ooh, sorry to interrupt you there, but a nice little diving catch by the Bucknell right fielder. Yeah, no doubt. Who is that over there in right field for Bucknell? Savannah Jones. Is that Savannah Jones over there? Yep, Savannah Jones with the diving catch.
Heard some
I
claps.
have to apologize because I skipped over her earlier when she was batting, and now she has this great play. And
she's like, you will not
remember
forget
my
me
name.
now.
Remember my name up there. So we have two down here in the bottom of the fourth. Bailey Murphy steps up to the plate. Another lefty. Maryland has a lot of lefties.
They do have a lot of lefties.
A lot of lefties. I always wished I was a
Strong
lefty.
from the left side. I know. If I was fast enough.
Yeah.
Never fast enough being that side of the box.
I am enamored by the slapping game in softball.
We've seen a couple quick bunts.
Yeah.
A couple slaps.
It's a great bunt. I don't know who it was down. I should know that as the play-by-play announcer for this game. Who that was, but I'm more focused on the growth of the Little League softball program. Second swinging strike there for Murphy. So we talked a little bit about your priorities, talked about coaching. What's your legacy in Little League softball? What do you want your legacy to be?
That's a good one. That's a great question. I really want, I keep saying this to all of our staff, to all of our volunteers, but if we want little girls to play this game, we have to show them what they're capable of doing outside the game as well.
So that's a great note to end on with Director of Softball Development for Little League, Ashley Miller. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Nina.
We'll talk to you later. We are back in Williamsport with the first of our Girls with Game Experience doubleheader. Maryland and Bucknell. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Kira Butcher on the mound from Maryland. Had a great 4th inning. And stepping up to the plate is Savannah Jones, the right fielder for Bucknell. We had a couple people come through the booth previously. Just had Ashley Miller. And now I have a Little League parent who also happens to be a Little League employee. Mr. Brent Stallnecker, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks, Nina. Good to be here.
So Brent, in a professional capacity, is in our risk management department, Senior Director of Risk Management and Insurance Operations. Get that right? And also a dad of a Little League softball player. So Brent, your daughter Julia attended camp last year and then again this year. So wanted to talk to you a little bit about that experience for her and then also as a parent, what it means to have this opportunity.
Yeah, so she's only about 3 years into her softball playing career. So these type of events, I think, are just really good, more from a confidence perspective. Just kind of seeing her mesh with some of the other kids, and it just kind of gives her some of the things she's learning now through the junior high program, kind of reinforce a lot of the fundamentals that she's already learning. So, but that's the biggest thing I can notice is the confidence of it.
Did you have a chance to talk to her after the clinic?
I did. She's not usually a bundle of words when it comes to this type of stuff, but no, she was happy how everything went. Enjoyed hitting the most, but just the kind of the general fundamentals and skills and drills, things she can take back to whether it's Little League or the junior high or high school program moving forward. So she had a lot of fun.
It was interesting as I was kind of watching some of the different sessions, having 4 teams here as opposed to 2 teams last year. I felt like there was a lot more opportunities for interaction. Is she someone that will kind of ask questions or talk to any of the college players?
She's not really usually one to open up, at least in this type of a setting. I did notice in the hitting session, the players were very engaging with all of the campers. And that was kind of the first time she opened up a little bit and answered some questions. Not one usually to ask the questions, but at least provide a monotone answer when asked.
Well, and that's important too, is that, when you see these camps and clinics, there are, the different personalities. Some of the girls are really outspoken and will get a lot of attention, but I love that the college athletes I saw, at least what I saw, really made it a priority to really try to connect with all of the girls.
Yeah, just kind of walking around today, the engagement of the college athletes, I think, is huge because ultimately all of the campers are looking up to these girls as hopefully this is where they want to go, play at one of these levels or even one of these teams. So the engagement, I think it's just probably a little bit of starstruck just from the fact of you're dealing with Division I college athletes. But I think the engagement really kind of brings it full circle for a lot of these kids.
Do the high schools around here do much with the youth programs with Little League?
For the most part, yes. A lot of the...
Ooh, great diving catch in center field. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning for Maryland. 2-up, 2-down. No, 3-up, 3-down. I thought you said 2. We're good. All right. Thanks for joining us for that half inning and sharing your experience, Little League parent Brent Stallnecker.
Thanks, Nina. Appreciate it.
And we're back. I think that in the last inning I told you it was the bottom of the 5th, but it was the top of the 5th. So welcome back in the bottom of the 5th to Lamade Stadium. Tori, you're back.
I'm back.
Thanks for coming back. We had a couple of guests roll through, keeping your seat warm for you.
Yeah, it is very warm in the seat. I'm very appreciative.
It is, which is good because it's a little chilly out.
For a Texas girl, I've got my puff on. Not going to lie.
I gotcha. Got that. I am a Midwestern girl who now lives in South Carolina, so I feel that. Pop fly. Ooh, we already had an out.
Good luck.
Flying. So we had Ashley Miller join us, who told us a little bit about her goals for the softball program. We had a parent of a camper join us. We had the Army coach join us. So we've gotten some really great perspective of the program and the event. And now you're back.
I am.
Because I wanted to talk to you some more about ways that Little League and Athletes Unlimited could continue to work together. Because we talked earlier and you had some great ideas.
Yeah, well, it was great. I had dinner last night with Liz, you know Liz, and I was talking to her just about that, about all the different ways, the possibilities to bring us together. You know, maybe instead of playing one game in Greenville, we play a whole series. You know, for me, the biggest thing is about connection with the younger generation, because when they feel comfortable enough and look at you like a human and their friend rather than this authoritative figure who I need to do perfect things in front of and I have to be the best softball player ever, that's when I feel like it becomes a lot of pressure for the younger ones. And for us, like, we were there, we knew, and like obviously now we have perspective, but when we were younger, all I wanted to do was like be their friend. So I think it's so cool now looking back at that age and seeing the teammates that I have at Athletes Unlimited, you know, like an Odyssey Alexander, Sis Spates, Aaliyah Andrews. I think all of the pros really do such a good job at making that connection and being excited to come back and give back to the game. You know, I mentioned it like probably earlier, I'm not sure if it was on the broadcast or not, but our responsibility as, you know, the older generation of softball players, the current softball players, is to pass that knowledge along. So for us being able to pass not only the physical things along, but, you know, those confidence skills or, you know, the intangibles that you don't really, you can't really describe them, but you do learn them from this game. And so for me, connection is the biggest thing. So back to what we think we could do, just different ways of, you know, maybe there's like a sweepstakes of a Little League team that, you know, if you make it to the third round or whatever round of your choosing, you could win a practice for an AU professional to come out and run a practice and maybe bring some friends, because I think one of the parts of Little League that I think everyone would love to see be improved and bigger and better is the pitching. And a lot of that pitching should come from people who have played it, have done it, that understand it and can teach it. Because that's a big part. You may be able to understand and know what it is, but to teach it is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
And so, you know, something like that where you win a practice and maybe an Odyssey Alexander comes to your practice and has one-on-one lessons with all of your pitchers. So just different ways that we can both build, whether it be the connection. Nice play.
McConney. She got away with one a couple innings ago when you were in here, but that one she got thrown out. She had a nice little single. And then tried to take second on that, but no.
Man, what
no
a
stealing
throw.
here. No stealing here.
Textbook.
That was great, and she's got some wheels.
Yeah, she does.
So we have a lot of opportunities to do more, and you know, one of the things that when we were planning the AU Pro Games, and you know, we had a model for the Little League Classic. And one of the things that we didn't think about when we were trying to set up some interaction between the AU athletes and the Little League athletes was that a lot of the AU athletes have second and third jobs as coaches, college coaches. And so we ran into, from an eligibility standpoint, you know, you check with your compliance departments to make sure. And the men in baseball don't have to think about those things because in most cases they're not working second and third jobs.
Exactly, yeah. It's tough to be a softball player. Like, in today's age, it's gotten better. So it's crazy when I think about the people that came before me. I'm just like, man, hats off to them to be able to play such long careers and be able to sustain an adult life. Like, people forget about that part, about how you support yourself. Ooh.
Little line shot off the glove of first baseman who picks it up, steps on first for the third out.
A hot shot.
That was another quick half inning.
We're good luck.
I guess so. We're just flying. All right, we'll be back in the top of the sixth. Welcome back to Williamsport. The first of our doubleheader, the girls with game experience. Maryland and Bucknell. We're in the top of the sixth. New pitcher for Maryland, Julia Shearer, freshman. Freshman lefty steps into the circle. Leading off for Bucknell in the top of the sixth is Noelle Garden. And I am back in the booth with Tori Vidalis.
Hey.
Hey, girl, hey. So you were just saying that Noelle worked your station with you during the camp.
Yeah, she did. We did some goals, and I worked with her, and I worked with Angelina, I'm sorry, and then Jada from Maryland as well.
Okay.
So it's fun getting to work with them, and now seeing them on the softball field to where it's like, oh my gosh, hey friend.
One of the things that I was talking about earlier with Jen, the Army coach, was about how oftentimes for high-level softball players and even younger softball players, softball almost becomes their identity. And I'm the mom of a softball player, 16-year-old, pretty good softball player. And one of the things that I always focus on is making sure she understands that softball doesn't define her, that the mistakes she makes don't define her, that the fact that she's a pitcher doesn't define her, that first and foremost, she's just a really great person. And when we talk about failure and mistakes, how important do you think it is for these young softball players to understand that softball is great, but they're so much bigger than just a softball player?
And I think a lot of it comes from the parents and being able to explore other things that you like to do, to find other hobbies, because it's hard when you're young and softball is your everything. Like, you love it, you eat, sleep, and breathe softball, and you know you're playing school softball and you're playing club softball, so it becomes a lot. But I think in the downtime, like in your moments that you're not at the field, it is important to find things that you do like. Like me, I love to read. I'm a big reader. I love to watch videos on YouTube, just like mindless things, and that has blossomed into other things that I care about. So I think the biggest thing is, one, to explore those other opportunities to do other things, but also when they are on the softball field, remind them that their love is not based on their performance, and maybe highlight things that aren't physical about their game. Like, hey, I saw you struck out, but I love the way you came back on the field after that and really like showed up for your teammates. Hey, I noticed how, you know, you picked your teammate up after they had an error. Like, that's really great job. I'm really proud of you. Things like that makes them realize that being a person and being a good teammate, a good friend, is also valued just as much as the winning hit or, you know, the game-saving play.
What was the car ride home like for you?
The car ride home was great for me. My parents were amazing. Can't say enough good things about them, but like, my parents came from the game, so they understand it in a different light. We never talked about a game if I didn't want to, and they accepted that. And if I asked for help, then my dad would be like, okay, well, let's go through your AB. Like, what were you looking for? What were you trying to do? What was your goal? What did you do? Like, we were just talking about it in that sense. It was never like you need to be better than that. You need to do this, that, and that. It's learning from that experience, because no one expects to get a hit every single at bat. So just learning from it, finding the little wins in the AB, and finding things that can make me better other than just the outcome of the AB. But also, it was a lot of quizzing. So I grew up playing shortstop, and my brother was also a shortstop, and so my dad would quiz us on different situations. As a shortstop, he's like, okay, runner at first, ball goes to your left, where are you going? So my brother and I would make it a competition, of course, because we're just so competitive. We would make it a competition to see who could get the most answers, or, you know, who could get it the fastest. And so I feel like that's where our IQ came into play a little bit more, and understanding of, hey, I should be thinking about these things before the ball comes to me, so that I know and I'm ready once the ball does.
So we're already 2 outs here in the top of the 6th, and we have Juliet Basso steps up to the plate. It's her first at bat. So it's so important that parents understand the impact that they have on their kids. And oftentimes when we look at some of the statistics on why kids stop playing sports, it's because it's not fun anymore. And they often then will follow up that it was generally something adult motivated that led them to stop playing. So we have some work to do with adults in the program.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, we were the kids at one time, and it was the adults, and now we become the adults. So it's up to us to break the I'm saying us like I have children. I don't have children, but I'm saying us as the adults who, you know, guide these young women in playing the sport. It comes down our shoulders, because we're the ones that are coaching them. You know, we're the ones that have to have those car rides home with them. And that's important. That's just as important as what's on the field, because they will never feel completely themselves being able to go on the field with no regrets. And, like, no hesitation if they're afraid of what's going to come after if they don't get it right. And I think we see a lot of that type of pressure instead of just being like, hey, you went out there and that's enough.
Yeah.
Because some kids are deathly afraid of,
Sure.
public speaking and being in front of crowds and really just talking in general. There's some
Yeah.
kids that are very shy. And so even them getting out there, putting on the uniform and like being at practice and showing up, like that's a win. It's just realizing that every person has different wins. The game-winning home run might be your win, but for somebody else, it was fielding that ground ball perfectly
so
today.
Smart, yeah. It's something that we know, especially in girls and young women, that the longer they play a sport, the better their self-image, the better their confidence. And so that's something that we've really focused on here in Little League, is just trying to make that experience a good one to keep them involved. That was a great little backhand by the second baseman up the middle for the third out here in the top of the sixth. So we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be back for the bottom of the inning. Welcome back to Williamsport in the bottom of the sixth. In the first of our doubleheader of the Girls with the Game experience, Maryland and Bucknell. We have a new pitcher for Bucknell. Savannah Jones moves from right field into the circle. She made that nice little diving catch earlier.
It was nice. Little basket.
Yeah, a little bit. Now she takes the mound. Leading off for Maryland, Diamond Williams, who's their cleanup hitter. We were, before the break, talking a little bit more about how important it is to have for girls to have a great experience in sports so they stay in the game and they keep playing. Did you ever have a point in your youth career where you were like, I don't know if I want to do this?
No. I think I knew from honestly about 6th grade that I wanted to do this and I wanted to go play, and I had very big dreams, but my dreams were always kind of combined. So I would always tell people, I went 50% on scholarship of athletics and 50% on my grades. And I think it was so drilled into me that to play softball, you had to have good grades. So when I was young, I really focused on that and trying to be the whole instead of just the softball player. So I focused on a lot of different things, and that's actually how I got into my career of broadcasting, was because I focused on things outside of softball. Like I kind of planned beforehand how I wanted to go into the workforce. So I worked for 12th Man Productions, which is Texas A&M's school production company, and worked there for 3 years while I was playing softball as well. So I was kind of like doing a little bit of both and juggling. But I think I just knew from an early age that this is what I wanted to do. And I've never had to really think about what it would be like to not play softball. So I think I'm really lucky in that aspect. I've never really had any big injuries, knock on wood. And I had the talent to play. So I wanted to do everything I could to take myself as far as I could. And sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I cannot believe that this is my job. Like, I'm a professional softball player. How many people get to say that?
Yeah. Williams watches strike three.
A good little change up.
Yeah. Jones has
got some good stuff. I was getting the insight downstairs from their SID.
Okay. Stepping up to the plate for the first time, Bree Godfrey for Maryland. First at bat. You I was watching. I was Googling you to prepare for
As
this.
one does,
and
of course.
of course. And I saw this clip. I think you were a freshman at A&M, and you caught that.
Oh yes,
that
I'm
pitch
sure.
right in your face mask.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Well, what's funny about that clip is it happened my freshman year, which was 2015.
Okay.
And 6 years later, I'm in Austin, Texas, about to call a regional remote because this was COVID era, after COVID, and I get a text message from my play-by-play, and he's like, "Hey, is this you?" And I look at the video, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that is me!" Because when my first year in college was when the SEC network started. So from my very first game, all of our games were televised, which incredible, amazing.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. So awesome how far we've come. But every game was on TV. So I hadn't seen a lot of these games because they were digital games.
Yeah.
So a lot of them were on the Plus network, which is great for my parents because they could watch.
Sure.
But this happened, and I didn't even think about it. Like, nobody on my team ever discussed it. Like, it just wasn't a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
So 6 years later, I'm sitting there about to call this game, and he's like, "Is this you?" And next thing I know, my phone, I kid you not, blows up with everyone that I've ever met or played softball with, and they're like, is this you? And I'm like, well, obviously it's me. It says Vidalis on the back of the jersey. I'm like, come on, guys. But they were like, oh, but you were number 5 and all this stuff. So anyways, now at least once a month, somebody tags me in it. And
That's
it blows
so
up
funny.
on a bunch of different, like, it'll be ESPN, SEC Network. And it's funny because I work for SEC Network, and they would never tag me. And I'm like, guys, I literally work for the network. Like, throw me a tag.
Give me some
Just
credit.
a little courtesy tag. If you're going to embarrass me, like, at least put my name up there.
That's so funny.
But yeah, that clip has come back to haunt me. But now, nobody knows, if they don't know me, I'm like, oh, have you seen the video of that girl that hits it into her face mask? They're like, oh my God, yeah, that's so funny. I'm like, that's me.
Just me.
Surprise.
Surprise, I'm here. Oh, that's incredible. So we 2 outs here in the bottom of the second. Godfrey grounded down the first baseline for the second out of the inning. Earlier I said this game is flying, and you were like, oh, this crew would be so mad at you for saying that.
Oh yeah, that's like the unspoken rule. You never talk about how fast it's going, because then it'll go slow.
Well, we have 1 inning for it to go slow.
Yep, that's right. We're keeping
At
it
this
going.
point, because we're closing out the bottom of the 6th with a fly out to right field. We'll be back for the last, fingers crossed, inning. We're back for the top of the 7th in the Girls with Game Experience. First of a doubleheader here in Williamsport between Maryland and Bucknell. Shearer is still on the mound for Maryland, hoping to close it out, and Sarah Zimmerman steps up to the plate for Bucknell. Nina Johnson-Pitt with Little League, Tori Vidalis with Athletes Unlimited, calling the game. It's been a good run in this game. A lot of action. Well, not a lot of action, but a couple innings of good action.
Yeah, Maryland had a quick start, putting up 3 on the board, and haven't seen much since then. Been some quick innings from Bucknell.
Some good defense, though.
Yes.
Which you love to see.
Hey, defense is a game changer.
It's one of those things we talked about in the youth space at the coaches clinic last night and even this morning, that those basic fundamentals, really working on just the basics, not getting fancy, is really the key, especially at these young ages. It's not always fun to crank out those basics, but oftentimes a game changer for them. So we had that coaches clinic last night. You spent some time chatting with the coaches, and then spent some time today talking with some of the players. But we really talked with the coaches about how important it is to focus on those basic fundamentals, and then had coaches at all different levels give them some tips to do that.
Yeah, softball is so fundamental, and I think a lot of times we see these incredible plays, big hits, and we forget about what went into that. And you got to walk before you run. That's the famous saying, and it's so true. Like, you have to learn how to catch before you can play catch with somebody else, and you have to learn how to field a ground ball before you can get hit ground balls at you. And it's just little things that all build up, but once you master them, or once you learn them and you continue to work on them, you'll probably never master them fully, because softball is a game that we're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And we know that. So, but building on those to know that the big plays come from those fundamentals, and drilling them over and over and over again, even when you think you don't need to. You'll still see the pros every day working on their everydays, their arm care, their stretching. As you get older, it's so important to take care of your body, and those are the little things that you forget as a youngin', or you don't really know as a youngin', and that's our duty to let them know, like, hey, this is how we warm up. And that's another thing is what would be cool is the Little League girls coming to play or coming to practice with us and see how we practice, and how do we communicate with each other, how do we warm up, how do we play catch, how do we do all the little things that would, I feel like, just widen their eyes in amazement. Would be cool to have them out, and like them come to our practice, us go to their practice, and kind of bring it a full circle moment.
So Zimmerman down on strikes, so we're 1 out here in the top of the 7th, and Zoe Smith at the plate. So tell me about the best coach you ever had.
Ooh, the best coach I ever had. Honestly, I've been really lucky in my life. I've had a lot of very incredible coaches. I think I learned the most softball-wise from my select coach, Casey Jackson from Impact Gold, and I love that I'm shouting him out because he always texts me. He's like, shout me out, T-Money. And I learned a lot about the game and IQ and like little things, how to read the game, how to read the umpires, how to read spin, how to do all of these things that you don't know yet. And so I got taught a lot about the skill. And when I was in college, Coach Joe Evans, I learned a lot about being a good human and, growing as a person and as a woman. You come in, you think you know everything in college, and you're like, yeah, I'm grown, I'm an adult, whatever, but there's still so much you have to learn. And there were some tough times. Like, everyone has some tough times that you kind of got to go through that. And it was great. Coach Joe Evans, Casey Jackson, some of my favorites.
I think the coaches are so important. And with that, Tori, ball game.
Congratulations to Maryland.
Maryland, that
taking
was
it
a great
home.
little outing. Great showing by Bucknell. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and listening to us talk about Little League. And hopefully you'll come back for the next round, which is Army West Point and Penn State.